I go in and they doctored my foot and then gave me the pedicure and rubbed on my legs, and I've been going ever since.
See, that's like a secret most guys don't know. They're like, oh, I'm not going in. I'm like, don't be silly. Come on in.
And now, I mean, after college, I've been like, whatever, dude. I do it. You're the one losing by not doing it. But I'll walk in, you know, looking as rough as I do at times, and like the ladies will start clutching their purse, and I'm like, what? Relax.
Yeah, don't get your back.
Girls, we're here to relax.
We're all here to get pretty.
And then
I would
there's
say every
always
time
that
I
lady
go,
that
there's
gets
at
on
least
her
one guy
phone
in.
and starts talking real loud. I'm like, don't do it. We're all busy and important. This is the not busy and important time. Like, stop.
Exactly. I like the ones that are on their phone call, and it's a super loud phone call, and you're like, sweetie, save it for later.
What's literally driving me crazy is the people on speaker in the grocery store.
Yes.
I'm like,
I don't need to hear all that.
Nobody, and 9 times out of 10, like one person in the conversation is like saying stuff that shouldn't be on speaker.
Not the grocery store.
And they're just like, oh,
we've all got cheap earbuds. Put some of those in and then take a call.
The airport, good too.
What's that?
The airport,
Yeah.
speaker, like if you're in line, getting on the plane, and they're just like yelling at each other.
Yeah, they're like, I hope I don't get diarrhea on the plane. You're
Like, great.
Really?
What's that seat number?
Awesome.
Okay.
Guarantee you're on my flight to Omaha where nobody's going.
That's for sure.
I actually checked flights to Omaha for this Friday for the college World Series.
Ah.
$1,300 a ticket. So you got
for the flight?
Yeah, you got for the flight. Yeah, and then you got to get in the stadium.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
They said flights were up.
Ole Miss, Auburn, Texas A&M.
I'm doing
Arkansas.
Doing actual rows in my head.
Tennessee got knocked out, which they were the team. So yeah, but I just think that would be I like to treat myself like we talked about.
There you go.
I like experiences. So
when I was new, I went to family reunion and sat next to a lady on the bus, and she's like, every closing you treat yourself. She goes, it may only be a cup of coffee because it was a really cheap closing. She goes, but you gotta just remember that you work hard for some of this. So.
Right. But
you want to go to the playoff game? Go to the playoff game.
For me, it's food.
Oh, yours expensive treats.
But I mean, I work hard for it.
That's
So it sort of helps me look forward and make sure closes.
You're like, but keep this deal together because I got my eye on that bracelet.
That's right. That's it.
Now that my wife's the one that writes my checks, I'm done. She's like, I know exactly how much that costs because I'm the one that wrote your check.
Wow. That's the downside of shared accounts.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. But like, whenever I used to go to Vegas a lot, and I would just.
You treat yourself too much?
What's that? No, I would come back with more money than I had. I lost everything I took on one trip.
That's it?
Came back with money every time, and came back with winnings most of the time.
Next time I go to Vegas, I want you to come. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just did a lot that much, and I just know I'm going to lose it. It's entertainment money, and that's how I look at it.
Juan and I have been a few times. He was like, dude, you're insane. Really?
Morning.
Like, just winning the game. And I mean,
What's your game?
sports bets and craps.
Sorry to
Oh, no, you're fine.
Lon's blackjack. So literally, Lon and I go to Vegas together and see each other at dinner. We're like the perfect couple.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
He's like, where are we going to dinner? I'm like, I don't know, but you're going to order wine and
Okay.
complain about,
And you'll win big, so it doesn't matter. Pick any place you feel like.
But yeah, he plays blackjack. I do craps and sports bets, and we'll do sports bets together. But,
Have you ever been on a cruise?
yes.
You know you can do that on a cruise.
Yes.
Sports bets
Yes,
too?
ma'am.
You can't do sports
I
bets
don't
on
think
cruise.
so.
But you can gamble in open water.
But Atlantis has a sports book now.
Oh.
But I would go for the wild card weekend of the NFL, which was the first weekend of January. So we do Christmas, and then New Year's I'd fly out, and we'd go, because for the wild card weekend, there's no games at the same time. They're just back to back. So Saturday, Sunday, there's 2 games and 2 games. And then because you're in Vegas, the second game ends at like 6 o'clock at night. So you still have like the entire time. It's fantastic. And then that's Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday is the college national championship game.
Then you just sleep on the plane on the way home.
Yeah, so I'd get the red eye back on Monday night because the national championship game would end at 9:30 in Vegas, which is like the 11 o'clock flight home, and then get
Yeah.
But Clemson, the first time Clemson beat Alabama in the national championship, I was firing on Clemson the entire weekend. And we had a suite in the book, and everybody in the book had Alabama, and like I'm going bananas, and everyone else is very upset. So it was good.
Sounds like hello. How are you doing?
Are we having Gambling 101?
You hear Liz?
What?
You hear Liz Cohen? She said, "Are we having gambling 101?"
Yes.
Well, that's an intro to trivia night. Not quite gambling, but we'll do our best.
Liz, you know to bet on me.
I don't think I'm gonna do it today.
Yeah. You live near here?
I'm in Kennesaw right now, but I'm from the Marietta area, so I'm not too far.
I know. My husband's friends from college, like this past weekend, and it was such perfect weather. We sat outside the whole weekend, the breeze was great, and then all of a sudden,
Morning. I like that shirt.
Thank you.
yeah, that's you can meet John.
Hey, John, how are you?
How are you doing,
Good
man?
Passed
to
his exam.
Yes, very good.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sleeping
Great,
out all that.
great. If you want to chat after this and get any information, I'm happy to do so.
I would love that. Thank
Okay,
you.
okay, great.
I think they probably will.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Some of the cost.
Now that I've been introduced to you, I'll just sit right over here.
Oh yeah, you find that they have to leave. She'll ask the money to her because well, we don't know about this fee. We don't know about that fee. It's not that far away. What is she like? Well, we'll figure it out. She's fine. She's like, hey, at least it's close. Hello.
Before this, I was doing restaurant management and store management for Kroger. Wanted to get out of that rat race.
Seems to be a lot here lately, get out of the restaurant business.
Yeah, that's fun, but it's just working till midnight and then coming back the next day, 6 in the morning. Yeah.
No one has done this. I reached out to partners, I saw
So
all
that's
this
the 20th
stuff
of
on
Juneteenth?
gluten and studies
Why is
they've done,
Juneteenth
so
the
I
20th?
It falls on the Sunday, it's a federal holiday.
Oh, there was a celebration of Florida this past weekend, so I thought it was this weekend.
And a little extra something, drop that little.
Okay, so we have kitchen out here. So it saves you the trip to donate it somewhere else, but yeah. So at least encourages higher donations.
Hey, I'm John Taylor. Nice to meet you, sir.
Is it public?
All right.
Tell my aunt.
It's good to meet you. I'm just here today.
Oh,
I'm
she
gonna
loves the good garage sales, slash estate sales, slash anything to buy.
kind of just pass my test recently. So thank you. So excited to get to do it and, see what it has to offer.
Well, I'll tell you, have been a number of things for
Go get a fly.
throughout that time. I've always had some kind of relationship with
Flyer address.
Staff is amazing.
Just making it sound better and better.
Especially during services.
Right. I don't know, she got this all set up for me, so it couldn't have been happier. Because that's the most, and that's the most important thing is, you know, of course you go through the classes, take the tests and everything, but until you get into the world and actually do it for the first time, you just don't know what to expect. I'm happy to be here and get started. And nice to meet you, sir. Thank you.
Somebody share some good news with you. A lot of good news out there. Share some good news with you.
Losing control. Okay, good.
Eric had a great client illusion. That's illusion. What did you say, Greg?
I did.
What did you say, buddy?
I had a great client event on Saturday.
Well, tell us about it. Client event.
Yes. Well, this was my, I'll just say, second annual. It's an annual neighborhood summer barbecue. It wasn't the full neighborhood because it's like 455 homes, and I would be overwhelmed. So I wanted to keep it a little. So we have 3 sections of our neighborhood. So it was a section. I've been kind of growing it every year. Maybe at some point it will be.
Do you do the barbecue yourself?
I like that.
And thank you to my amazing Jeff Hart, who co-sponsored it with Thomas and Brown. So they're obviously great partners. All of our partners are great partners. So these are opportunities, you know, definitely together. So yeah, it was great. I think I had 40 people, and by the way, one of the ladies said, you had more people come than the HOA had for their barbecue. So I think she wants me to run for president.
Don't do it, don't do it.
I've been on the board before, and it's tough. Well, it's a great, by the way, I mean, the point is, it's a great farming, it's a great farming opportunity, great, you know, I wasn't selling, but I had my promotional things out. People wanted to get into it, right? But I did say a few words. I had my little megaphone. I, you know, thanked our partners. I did it with Righteous Q Barbecue, by the way. Great reviews about that. So anyway, it was a good time.
For me this week, my 2 grandsons are visiting, and they are at camp this week, and so we're having a great time together. But all you moms and dads out there that took kids to camp and doctor's appointments and to get ready for school, I feel your pain. We need to go now, guys. Come on. Get ready, let's go. We're almost ready to pop. No, we need to go now. Come on. I like to be on time to do that, so I feel your pain. Anyway, we're having a blast. We cooked out on the grill last night. That was an adventure. One of my grandsons said, I'll come help you, Pop. Yeah, he was a great helper. So he's the one that great. Someone else gives us some great news going on right now. Yes, ma'am, Marion.
I got neighbors under contract who have 4 children, and it would have been very difficult for them to show, so they took a trip to the hinterlands of Canada and Alaska with almost no Wi-Fi or cell service. And we were able to navigate, and I got multiple offers, and now I'm talking about ice price for the neighborhood, yay, because when it's your own neighborhood, you really sweat bullets. So it was crazy dealing with them unreachable for quite a few hours and sometimes days at a time. And so we've made it past each other.
Good. Wow. Yes, ma'am, Christy.
All right, I'm gonna knock your socks off with this one. So I have a client who was having some trouble getting approved, was gonna go with Homeward. Homeward was having some trouble getting her approved. Spring stepped in. Closed her in 10 days after a home
Yes.
like we didn't get Title V. Thank you. It was a roller coaster, but they made the easy part. Right, they made it happen.
As I've always lived here for 11 years,
Oh, 10 days.
no one provides the kind of service our in-house people do. And I won't say which mortgage company it was, but a mortgage company associated with our company, they pre-qualified my nephew, and then the rules changed. They got to call him and saying, by the way, you no longer qualify, the rules changed.
Oh.
What?
The rules changed, and he's no longer qualified to get this money. And one of our lenders in here stepped in and made it happen. So guys, the tried and true will always work. Now, is there a place for homeward out there? Yes. Is there a place out there for ribbon? Yes. I get all this. I'm thankful for it, guys. Just always remember that we're thankful for our in-house people because we know we can count on them. Guys, we're thankful for all of you. Anybody else have something good they want to share? Yes, ma'am.
I do. I'm packing. And as I'm packing,
Oh, I thought she said she was packing. Yes,
yeah, I'm gonna learn that too. No, I am packing, and I have my basement full of treasures. And in honor of Anya and what she's doing right now, I'd like to invite you all over on Monday. The office is closed from 9 to 1, and Christy's gonna help me. She's gonna remind the people on TV land that are later on. But I'm not pricing anything. I'm letting you come, pick up what you want, and donate what you feel like you can donate. And then that will go to Anya.
Very nice.
Please take everything. Please, even if you don't need it, find a home for it.
So she told me she'd do this. I said, oh, really? Are we gonna give you any bourbon? She made it no.
Yeah. I will give some bourbon to people that want to.
Bourbon with purchase.
Bourbon with purchase, that's it. And then you'll get more.
That's
9 to 1 to leave a little early, Michelle.
No, it's not. No, it's good.
And Michelle, do you have a visitor?
Of course, as I put food in my mouth. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is John Taylor. I was invited here today by Kimberly just to sit on the meeting and meet some people. And I recently just passed my licensing exam on the 3rd. Thank you. So just excited to start this journey and see what it has to offer.
exciting.
You're in the right place.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've heard that from everyone. This is the place to be.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obvious, I'm here. Excuse me. That's what I got. I'm glad to have you here. Anybody else have anything want to share? Anybody in television land, TV land want to share something?
I got one.
Why, tell us.
I had a nice listing and somebody came in and they didn't have an agent. And he was actually an agent in his day. And he ended up not buying the house I had, but ended up letting me represent him. Another KW agent found the listing, couldn't get the seller to pay both sides. I went ahead and gave her referral out of the one side, my purchase. Remember, it's 1.2. And I get to list their house, took pictures yesterday for 800. So you never know where you're standing and who will walk up to you.
Wow.
Right.
That's a great
Good
one.
one.
Remember, thank you for sharing that, Lizzie. Okay. Anybody else have something great? That was a great one, too. Anybody have something they want to share? Okay, Agent Caravan. Tell us about this one, please. Bottles of wine.
That's me.
Red and white both?
Miriam DePriest, yes.
Good.
Starting to feel like old times a little bit.
I like it.
This is my first in person since COVID, and thank you for always streaming, because I've watched almost every one online, and that what a benefit to all of us. And it's fun being back here. But this house is beautiful. It's a brick traditional, 5-bedroom, 3.5 baths. If our kitchen was open to the living space, we'd have had 5 to 6 offers, I believe. We've had 4 or 5 people thinking about it. There's a way to renovate this beautiful house, but so far, buyers have had a little bit of cold feet trying to figure out how to do that. So I'm hoping to get lots more people in, lots more feedback, and just have you see this beautiful home. First 20 people get a free bottle of wine.
Wow.
And I love when newer agents come, but I especially would love for veteran agents who've possibly seen a floor plan like this and had to work with a floor plan like this. It's a beautiful traditional floor plan, and it wouldn't be impossible to renovate, but buyers have to have that imagination. So especially the vets who've dealt with a super traditional floor plan with a kitchen that's currently closed off, I'd love your opinion, please.
Cool. Hope we get a chance to come on.
725 Walton School District. Thank you.
I'm glad this is out there. I sold many years ago, when someone told me, oh, Jim, don't worry about my wife, she's a decorator, she can see the possibilities, they never could. They bought another decorator's house every single time, so they never could see the possibilities. I love it. All right, Lon, you're with us, let's give Lon a hand.
Yeah, I don't get to come see y'all. I used to come every Tuesday and do it, and now, thankfully because of you, I have closings every Tuesday morning at 9 and 10, and just so happened I had one this morning, and the 9 o'clock move because we didn't get a package, and that's one thing I'm going to tell you about, and the reason we didn't, and it wasn't because of these guys, so it's another lender, and because they take care of you, and they take care of us, and we work together. But another situation where I've preached for 18 years up here, 15 years, make sure that we get your amendments. Lender for us didn't have an amendment for a deal, and it's the 11th hour, and the whole package is wrong because nobody knew of an amendment that evidently was, executed by all the parties, and everybody knew it but us and the lender. So, another just teaching moment, make sure we get every amendment, even if you don't think it's important to us. So, but luckily I was able to come here. Carrie sends her regards. She's got 2 functions today, and normally she's here with you guys. So she sent me instead, and I'm glad I was able to come with come see you. But John, congratulations on your license.
Thank you.
And wherever you go, make sure you close the time. I hope it's right here. But I wanted to announce one thing for you guys. Sheryl, you guys know Sheryl King, that's an attorney with us who teaches all over. I mean, she's primarily a teacher. In fact, I'm going out of town tomorrow, and I think she realized she's got to do closings for 3 days, and there's been a little bit of trepidation on her part about that. But she's doing a 3-hour CE class over our Galleria office building, not in our office, but in the 200 building in the basement. Some of you guys are not in the basement, but the bottom floor. Some of you guys have been there. There's a great conference room down there that we've got, and this is on June 22nd. The class is from 1 to 4. And it's called Negotiate to Win. And I'm sure Carrie's sending all you guys emails, and you'll get this information. But if you need anything, you can come downstairs and get one of these as well. But it's June 22nd from 1 to 4 with a happy hour and all that afterwards at Cinco right across the street from 4:15 to 6:15. So it's from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock class. And Sheryl, I know you guys, we get inundated with requests for her. She does a great job at that. And I know if y'all taking classes from her, she's probably the preeminent teacher for what we do in Georgia. And so she'll have a great presentation, much better than I can give you. So she always has a lot of practical hints in there. Again, thank you guys for everything. I don't get to come up and see you as much, but I appreciate all that you do for us. And we're busy, and that's because of you. So keep your questions coming, and if you need anything from me, don't hesitate to let me know. So anybody got anything from me you need?
Lilia?
Yes, ma'am. No. We have a Blue Ridge office. Yeah, Blue Ridge, and that office is amazing. We work hard on all the other offices we got, and they've been great. We've done nothing in Blue Ridge, nothing. And we do 45, 50 closings a month. Just because there's so many people moving up there, buying second homes and stuff up there. I don't think there's a presence of anybody, like our firm up there. It's mostly local guys who practice family law and wills and estates. We'll do a real estate closing too. So I think it's helpful that we've gone up there just from an efficiency standpoint. We've got some good business up there. But we are going to, with another group, not in Dahlonega, but and it won't show up on the website, but we have the ability to close in a place in Beaufort, if that's geographically something that, it would help you. But Blue Ridge is pretty close. Anybody else? Thank you guys, appreciate
You guys, one of the unintended benefits of Lon not being here every week is that you don't have to have the contrast of Lon to me or Jeff. I mean, you've got Lon, college football star, fashion love you, buddy.
I'm usually follow Gary.
Y'all, seriously, these guys, him and Mark both, and all the whole, you know that, but they're fantastic. So I'm Reed with Silverton. We had an interesting day in the mortgage business yesterday. Some of you may know that. Actually, here's an article from yesterday at 4:57 p.m. from Mortgage News Daily. Mortgage rates surge well into, let's try that again. Mortgage rates surge well into the 6% range after one of the worst days in decades. So I was talking to somebody yesterday and I said, you know, the only day I remember like this, you can't count what happened in 2020 when COVID happened. That was a different thing. But there was a day, and I said, I don't remember. It seemed like it was like 2013 or 2014, and it was right around the 4th of July. Well, it was July 5th, 2013, because I had clients on the 3rd before the holidays. I said, you know, these rates are pretty good. You probably ought to go ahead and lock your interest rate. No, we're gonna wait. And then on the 5th, they came in and they were like 3/8 higher. Well, yesterday rates went up. I would say in general 0.25%. Would you? I mean, in some cases maybe 3/8.
It went up more on Friday.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about it is I locked a client. He's actually my doctor. I locked him at 11 o'clock. If I had waited until 4:30, his rate and cost would have been an 8 higher and several $1,000s higher in cost. So yesterday there was several rate changes during the day. Today, this morning, the markets opened up, gaining back a little bit of what was lost yesterday, but I think you're going to see rates, at least for the time being, probably in the high 5, 6. You can still get a rate in the 5s. But I think it's really important at this point that you begin to think about the conversations that you're going to have with your clients, because you should be able to anticipate, and maybe some role playing would be good. Arthurine and I actually did it on the phone yesterday. So what are you anticipating that recoil that you're going to get when they start talking about monthly payment or interest rates or things like that? And I think that first response to them to be, I know, can you believe it? Enter into it with them. It's not time at that point for a lecture to try to tell them that their perspective is wrong, because their perspective is actually accurate compared to what we've seen over the last few years. This is a whole different place for them. So I mean, to enter into it with them and then begin to ask the right questions, because the question really is, what made you want to buy a house to start? Motivation. Tell me about that. What's your motivation? Well, I can't stand to rent anymore, or I don't have a place that's big enough for my kids. We have 17 children now, my wife and I, and so the trailer park that we occupy by ourselves now is not big enough for kids. Yeah. So, but and I lived in a trailer one time. So, I think to get them back to the why, because if the why is still there, all the details are into place. Yes, it's going to cost you $125, $150 more a month than you anticipated. Is that a deal killer, or are you still going to accomplish your purposes? So, and then the other thing is the person that says, I'm just going to wait. You're going to get that. Yeah. So are you ready for that? So you know what? That is an option. Tell me what things are you looking for to change that'll bring you back into the market? And that's going to bring the point that we talk about here every week. They're either going to say lower interest rates, or they're going to say more inventory. And you should be ready for that, because, well, it'd be great if that happens. However, I don't think we can anticipate that rates are going to come down anytime soon. But here's the key. If they do, you may have an opportunity to refinance in the future. So the big problem that you're seeing right now, you're either going to have to just deal with it what it is, or hope that in the future, if you're right and rates do come back down, that'll be great. You'll get them to get a lower payment at that point in the future. But the alternative is, what if they go higher? And just Throwing that out there. And then the second thing with housing prices, I mean, guys, you know what Jim wrote, 4,500 was the number you wrote up here on the board 2 weeks ago. Until that number changes, house prices are not going to come down until there's more inventory in the market. If there's 5 gallons of milk in the case at the grocery store owner, except for government intervention, can charge whatever he wants to for those gallons of milk. It's just supply and demand. That is the biggest factor, I think, that's going into our market right now. But I think too, to just, yesterday I had copied this article and sent it to a client because, I mean, we locked her rate before she told us to because I knew what was happening later in the day. And she said, "Why did you do it?" And I said, "Let me tell you why." And I sent her an article, and then it was like, I said, "If I locked you now, your rate would be a quarter higher." And she said, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much," that sort of thing. So I guess just be prepared for those conversations. Magdalena had, you got to tell me who that was, because she texted me last Friday. She goes, "Hey, what's happening next Tuesday?" And I said, "I don't know." She goes, "Is there something that's going to make rates go up?" And stupid me go, "Well, I don't know of anything." So I texted her yesterday morning. I said, "Please forgive me. You were right. You were 100% correct. Your guy, whoever it was, girl, was 100% correct." So anyway, interesting world we're living in. I would encourage you guys to be careful what you're taking in through your eyes and your ears right now, because it would be very easy to get fearful.
Yes.
And I think we have to realize that the things that are going to make you successful are always the same things, no matter what the market looks like. And I think you really, at this time, at least for me, I have to start digging down deep and go, okay, where really is my trust? Is my trust really in that I have some money in the bank? Is my trust in the ability that I'm going to get a paycheck? Or is my trust that God has always provided for me? And I need to be drawn close to Him, and I need to be trusting Him, and then just take care of you and the people around me and the people who are needy right now, and to be ready to give. Because if we get fearful, what do we start doing? That wallet is not coming out of the pocket to give to somebody else. If we can have faith, we can trust, we can give generously, and we'll see God provide for us. So, just a word of encouragement. That's all I got.
Thanks, Rick.
Is the variable rate interest rate available right now?
Their adjustables are out there. I think Jeff and Camilo would agree the spread between fixed rate, we hope to see that spread widen.
Yeah, it depends on
it's not
the
as
day.
big as we wanted.
Yeah, it depends on the day.
Yeah, because we used to be that the difference, and even with jumbos, there was such a big spread. Jumbos actually priced better right now than conforming loans, and adjustables where there used to be a half a point, maybe a full point difference. Sometimes on different days, it's not as much as you would like, and the fixed rate makes more sense.
So the adjustable rate still is not something that'll fix the problem of it used to be 4, now it's 7, so that won't really fix that problem.
No, it used to be, it just depends on the day. I mean, it's a crazy market, something in 21 years I haven't seen.
Yeah. In 39 years on the market like this one, so I just realized that this market is different than we've seen before, where there's a lack of inventory. So I just realized that we are going to, our wonderful sponsor, Residential Inspections of America.
Yes.
Who brought us
Right.
buses.
Just felt so heavy just then. I'm like, oh no. But the good news is the price of home inspections did not go up this year. Last time I was here, it was spring break and it was raining so bad. I touched on our roof leak warranty that we offer, and I wanted to do it again because we're still getting the rainy days. I want to kind of explain how it does work. So if your buyer gets a home inspection done with us, it's a complete home inspection and the roof looks good. And maybe just a few days before you go to the closing table, the seller says that there's been a leak after one of our heavy storms and they don't feel like they have to fix it, it's okay. Your buyer can actually put in their own warranty claim with the warranty company as the buyer before closing. And the warranty does actually last for 5 years. We cover different parts of the home differently for different amount of time, but the roof is for 5 years. So I'm going to send everybody out an email as well, just so that you have the information on that. And if you guys ever have questions about our warranties, whether it's the mold or or structural or mechanical, you can always reach out to me and ask me about those as well, because they're really helpful in this market where the sellers are just kind of saying no to everything. They're like little 2 years old. Did you guys have any questions for me today? Breakfast is okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, last time we had the chicken, remember, it was really good, but it was like nobody was here because it was spring break, so I wasn't sure this go around. But it's good to see you guys.
Thank you.
You're in good hands for the umpteenth time. All right.
I want to just acknowledge you guys. For those that have not used Residential Inspector of America, I know there's some newer folks in here. Without a doubt, I mean, especially when we need somebody last minute. I mean, you can literally get an appointment the next morning because they have plenty of great inspectors. They're all inclusive. Any inspection you need, they cover the gamut. So thorough, detailed reports. So thank you. I've worked with you guys.
President, you already had that offer this weekend, though, right?
Sort of.
Yeah.
No, we'll keep this guy in charge.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you meant over like a homeowners association
Oh, well,
or something.
yeah,
I thought they
that
wanted
might,
you
yeah,
president.
we'll.
That's a tough job. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I just want to share something with you guys as well, is that every time that I need the home inspection appointment, I send a text, and she returned my text in the next 2 or 3 minutes, and I said, I need Mario. Mario is the one who speaks Spanish. Now you have another person,
Yes,
right?
we're trying to add
And I
more.
said, please, I need Mario to do this inspection by tomorrow at this time, because and she said, okay, but let me see what can I do? And they sent me my appointment with Mario at that time. I love that.
Right.
And Mario is a great inspector. I asked him to come back because my client couldn't make the appointment at the time that he's supposed to be at the property. And I called Mario. Mario left the property like 15 minutes after, and my client couldn't make it at that time. And so when my client get at home, he asked me to call Mario, and he said, okay, I'll be there in the next 10 minutes. So that is something that, that they give us like more than service. I love this company. And I always ask for my $25.
Yes, she does. I'm like, it's expired. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, they did it the one that it was expired already.
Right.
And I said, please give me my $25.
Yes.
I want to brag on y'all too. The coolest thing that y'all do is when I know I'm going to go under contract, or I feel like my offer might be accepted, I call you guys and book the appointment. And typically, it's on Monday is when I would like y'all to come out. But then, sometimes we don't get our offers approved, but you guys call me and text me over the weekend saying, did you get your offer? I mean, so it's like I can cancel in time, so it doesn't cost my client anything. So, I mean, there are some people who don't work the way we work, but you guys totally understand what we're doing and how we do it, and y'all are always there.
Yeah, I was just getting a text last night at 7 o'clock, not to encourage that, but I still did respond to them, and I'm booking them as of this morning. I'm like, on my way here, I come from Stockbridge, and I'm like trying to get them locked in before I have to meet with you guys. So you really can actually text me. I'm a real live person, and I really do reach out to you guys. I really do send the emails. It really is me. And we are working on same day appointments now. We're really trying to get that for you guys. So if you were to call me at like 7 in the morning or text, I prefer 6 to 7, then I'll try to book you in for that afternoon if I possibly can. We really do try to work with you guys.
Right.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
What is your standard?
I don't know about Blue Ridge area. I don't know if we can get over there the same day.
Okay. What is your standard inspection include? Like a waterproof, moisture level, infrared.
Can I email you? Can see when this guy starts standing up. I'm
Right.
just trying to keep you guys on pace. I am going to personally reach out to you, and I promise you I will, Liliana, yes. And I'll get you everything that you need. Okay?
You're good.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Smart. All right. Y4C22 guys. This is what we stand for. This is us, guys. This is what we live in this office. That's what sets us apart. Susan, which is your favorite one today?
Jim, my favorite one is the last one, success, through people, which that's all we've talked about this morning. It's our lenders and the value that they bring, and the closing attorneys and people like RIA and, our office even. So we typically can't do our job just by ourselves.
And you cannot.
We need people.
And we've not picked that one in a while. That was a good one, Susan. President of the board, I had to talk to new agents a lot. We went through orientation, and I was thinking, the guys realize that the person on the other side of you in the transaction is your partner, not your enemy. Yeah, when you treat them like your enemy, that rarely works. They're your partner, they're not your enemy. So guys, I love that. It was a good one for today. Thank you so much for that. Moving forward, real estate conversation lead gen on Monday and Wednesdays. Guys, people are coming to this now and they're experiencing going, oh my goodness, Jim, this refocused me on what I was doing. Thank you, Arthur, for doing this because it refocused me, guys. So guys, this is not for new agents particularly. It's for anyone that wants to think, okay, I need to be thinking differently. So guys, please join Arthur on Monday and Wednesdays at 8:30. Lead me on with social media ads. Talk about Carrie Qualter. So guys, if you're not doing these social media ads, it's another way for you to lead generate for business. So guys, please come to that, hear what she's teaching, and it's going to be on June 15th, at 11 to 12 on that day. So please come in the lead generation room and on Zoom. Debbie Holmes Training. You want to talk about this?
Yes. We've been getting a lot of questions about alternatives to financing when people can't outright get a loan. And so here's another alternative, you guys. So Divvy would be your client. You would go house hunting with your client, right? And Divvy buys the home for them. Sign an agreement where they're gonna rent the house from Divvy. It depends on your people's credit, a year to 18 months. And then they can buy the house back from Divvy. At the point where they're going through this, they're gonna be told the payments are gonna be a little bit higher because we're gonna build in a down payment for you so that when you get ready to buy this house, you already have your down payment. So it's gonna be on Zoom, and please pop by on Zoom on the 16th on Thursday and get all of your questions answered. Okay? I've had a lot of questions about Divvy and Rocket and all of these other things. So we're bringing them one by one, okay? Keller Offers is another one. Keller Offers, they've got webinars almost every week. So put your training calendar together and make sure you're educated for the market, but for the no market and the market that's coming.
100%. Kevin, thank you everyone for doing this Command Happy Hour. Can we give him a hand, guys? Tell them what you do on Command Happy Hour.
So I think a lot of agents assume they have to have a question to hop on, but you don't. You can just hop on and learn something new. Sometimes we just sit around and mastermind of ways to drum up business. If you're not using Command to its full capability, you're just kind of missing out on the opportunity because it's a perfect way to leverage your business.
Yes.
Yes.
We're being told, well, Command's not really work. Is that true, Kevin?
Working for me.
Yeah.
You do have to set up and use it, right, Kevin?
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much. And Patty, thank you for sharing him with us, guys. Thank you for doing that. And that is coming up, guys. Command your campaign emails, called by Kevin Jackson. Kevin, it's your day today. Tell us about this one.
So, again, Command is awesome. Campaign emails are good for sending out one big email to a bunch of people all at once. And that's something that when Command first came out, you couldn't really do much with, but now it's just as good as MailChimp or any of the mass email services. So this is a great tool, especially for like what we do with big events. It's a great way to reach out to a couple hundred, couple thousand people all at once.
Is there a limit?
You get 5,000 a month for free,
Gotcha.
which is more than enough for most agents.
Yeah.
Besides that, it's cheap to upgrade to 10,000, 20,000.
That's right. Yes, ma'am, Patty.
That being said, that just like all MailChimp and all of the services, for some people, the way they have their system set up or their email set up, it'll go to their spam. So it's also a great opportunity to follow up. If you have an event, try to follow up with calls to as many people as you can and just say, hey, just wanted to make sure you received our invitation. So it's a good lead generation opportunity, so make sure no one slips through the cracks.
You know, to piggyback on what you just said, command, we've got a bell at the top and the red dot means there's a message. And when it kicks back, when it won't go through, it will tell you what email did not go through.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the analytics tracking has come a long way, so now you know exactly how many sent, how many were opened, who opened them. Pretty much see the results of all your email campaigns.
Thank you, Kevin.
And can I say one thing? I have a request, Kevin. So I was lead generating yesterday and I noticed on my phone that it said you've got a new person. So I clicked on it because I thought I was just gonna look at my email and it took me to Command Mobile.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It is the most wonderful thing to be able to run my entire business from my phone.
Yeah, you
So
don't
I
have
go
the app,
into
definitely
Command
get the app.
Mobile and it says, here are all your tasks for today. Here's the person that just went to your site. Here are birthdays. Here's how much you, I mean, it's like everything is there. So if you could talk, and the agents that were in the room with me weren't aware that they could do that.
Yeah, make sure your primary number for all of your contacts is whatever number you need to call them at, which is usually their cell phone number, because on your phone, as you're using that for lead generation, it just has a little call button, and that call button goes to their whatever their primary is that you have set up for.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I mean, you're on your phone and you just and it shows up in your phone call. So like even when you go to your regular phone, it'll show that you call these people, even if they're not saved as a contact in your phone.
And the best thing about that is it puts the note right there.
Yeah.
In your command. Because if you're like me, when you're lead generating, you're going fast and you don't want to stop and put a note under the people. When you call them through the command app, it's there. You made a call or you did an email and it comes back and says, do you want to say what the email was about? It is fantastic.
And that's also going into the reports. So at the end of the year, you can see how many calls did I make in January? What was my business in March?
Oh, I didn't know that.
How can we find out?
Go to his class.
You all
Go to the command happy hour.
Yeah, that's
Command
if you're
happy
calling
hour.
through command.
On Thursday.
Okay.
The good news is we train daily here. The bad news is we train daily here. There's so much out there available for you guys that is in no other company. There's a reason why we sell more than any other company does because we do these kind of things. So Kevin, thank you for what you do for us. We appreciate you more than you know. All right, you're up, girl.
All right, yeah, what a perfect segue. Because we do what we do, because we train every day here, and guys, y'all are so spoiled. You're so spoiled because I'm like, oh, okay.
All right, great, girl.
Do it, all three.
I'm not dancing with you.
I'm dancing with you.
All right, if I pull Yvette up here, she would give me the shoulders, right, Yvette? All right, so how do we get these? What am I up here? First listing, right? Perfect segue. We train, we show up for lead gen in the morning, and what happens when you show up?
Listings show up.
That's right. Thank you. So we've got, who do we have this morning? Oh, Colby's share. Colby, I know you're on a team and you're probably watching, so this will be downstairs for you. Congratulations on your very first listing. First closing. All right, who's gonna get a paycheck or a payday? Let's see, Stephen Wilson. I know you're watching, Stephen. I'll take these down. I think that's it on the two.
Cappers, all right, guys, one of my joys is being able to give somebody a hat because it signifies that they get to keep 100% of the commission. And so, guys, I love this. This is my favorite time of the month. And the first one is Adriana! Congratulations, girl.
You can put some music
Let's get a picture here.
and dance as well.
That is gorgeous. Thank you, John. Thank you, Ron. All right. Leah, come on up, Leah. Let's give her a hand, you all. Let's give her a hand, guys. Recruiter, what you tell me?
You know, it's been a really good experience. It has. I started right after the holidays, and I'm here already.
Yeah.
If it happened to her, it could happen to you. Let's give her a hand. Yay! What you do it? Show up, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Look who's a Sarah Bertino. Way to go, Sarah. Way to go, Sarah. Congratulations. Marjorie. Yay, Marjorie. This is not your first time.
Let me take a picture with your phone because mine is already full.
Yeah. Hand over your phone.
Okay.
I'm as cute as her son is, but we'll get
You'll
the
fill
picture.
it today.
Exactly right, yes.
Yes, thank you.
But let's go. My kind of woman. All right, let's go ahead, you all. Way to go. Kenna Dawes. Let's give Kenna a hand. Way to go, Kenna. Proud of you, Kenna. Happening again. Amanda. Let's give Amanda a hand. Amanda. Been here longer than I've been here, guys. She's a great agent. Thanks, way to go, Amanda. Jennifer. Way to go, Jennifer. Let's give Jennifer a hand. Teresa and John Gale, way to go, guys. Let's give them a hand. Shirley, where are you, Shirley? You should be here. Let's give Shirley a hand. Let's give Shirley a hand. Proud of you. Jill Harris, been along with me also. Let's give her a hand. When I first got here, I met her the first day. Someone said, you know, Jim, she used to be on the Weather Channel. She was one of the meteorologists on the Weather Channel.
Yes, I remember that.
Remember that?
Goodness.
She's one of the meteorologists on the Weather Channel.
I remember.
And then she was on CNN International. So
Yeah.
way to go, Jill. Christy Hyatt! Yay! Mason, I have a great face for
Bring your phone.
How about how? Give her a hand, you all. Yeah, rip my hair. Way to go. I'm proud of you, Christy. I'm proud of what you do for this office, Christy. Yes. Thank you. Let's give her a hand for what she does in this office, y'all. She's really doing something. Thank you, Christy. Justin, way to go, Justin, first time capper. Way to go, Justin. Proud of you, Justin. Matt Judy, way to go. One of our commercial guys. Give my hand. Way to go, Matt. Matt was a city councilman for Roswell, but did not run for re-election for whatever reason. Decided to do that, but he's a good guy and one of our commercial guys. Good guy. Way to go, Matt. Gabriel, way to go, Gabriel. Congratulations, Gabriel. I'm proud of you, Gabriel. Dane, way to go. Dane, congratulations. Where were you? They knocked on the door.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'll go get her.
Where is she?
Go get her.
Maybe she's in blue.
And Andrew Morgan, we'll get both of them, girl. Bring them in here. Let's give both of them a hand. And Julie Robinson, saw her last week. Julie, congratulations. Look at all these cappers, guys. Look at the cappers. Lakia, way to go. Congratulations. Way to go, Lakia. I'm proud of you. Shelly Berner, yes. One more time. Way to go, Shelly. And Glenn, way to go. First time? First time? No.
Yes.
Give my hand, guys.
Maybe they're blue.
Hey guys, another thing that we've been proud of here is that we have the highest percentage of cappers in this office in the Raw Crew. So here, you stand the biggest chance of capping here because of what we do with all of our education centers. So Zoom Career Day, Michelle.
Sure. How many of you want to build your downline? How many want passive income without? Here's the way to do it. Please refer anybody that you've got to me that's interested in getting into real estate, whether they're new talent, which we have a case for, which is going to give them a scholarship to get their pre-licensing done at no cost. We don't say free because that doesn't sound as appealing as no cost in scholarships. But what we do is we spend an hour and we talk about what we're going through as far as real estate agents, see if it's a right mix for them. We talk about KW Prep, anybody that wants to take it to see what we're doing. It's 17 modules and it's 5 minutes a module, and it talks about the day of a real estate agent. So it is teaching them really what's coming. They don't know what's coming when they take the pre-licensing. So we've done a lot, and I say we, Keller Williams International has provided a lot of tools so that we can seek out new talent, and that's what we're known for, as well as supporting existing agents. So whether it be a co-op that you want to learn more about Keller Williams, new talent, we've got it all. Just send me the names, the telephone numbers, and the email addresses. I'll introduce them to that, and we'll take it from there, and then you'll get to see what's going on. I'll keep up with you. That's it.
Thank you, Michelle.
Uh-huh.
And lessons learned, Michelle.
Oh, okay. Every week is so interesting. I learn things. Opportunities, no problem. But here's what I'm going to start out with saying, and then I'm going to give you a scenario. I want you to ask questions, understand the programs we have to offer our clients. That would be like Homeward, Ribbon, Divvy, Keller Offers. And so what's coming up on the 16th of June?
Keller Offers webinar.
The Divvy.
Oh, Divvy.
The
Oh,
Divvy.
sorry.
So
Divvy on
here's an
Thursday.
opportunity, because if you don't know them and you send your clients to them, you don't have the knowledge to really understand if that's where they belong, correct? We're dependent, sometimes we depend on our lenders and different programs to do a great job, and they do. You too need to know. So let me give you a scenario, and I want you all to listen carefully because I'm going to ask you something at the end. A phone call came in, and it was recorded. It was a Zillow lead, and thank goodness they record their leads, the conversation. And this young lady said that she wanted to buy an Airbnb, and that she already had multiple properties that she was doing this with in Atlanta. So the agent, and I heard this on the phone, was very gracious, asked a few questions, and then they started a journey together at the end of October. During this time, this individual would contact her and say, I want you to write an offer on this property, kind of sight unseen. She wasn't here. Remember, what is she doing this for?
Airbnb.
Airbnb. Okay. So she wrote about 30 offers. Ooh. I know, weren't getting anywhere, and 2 of the offers were accepted, and during due diligence, this individual terminated. So we've gotten nowhere, and months have gone by. So I'm going to back up for a second. Now you kind of know where we're going. And what are the first things when you're working with a buyer that you do?
Get a
Pre-qual.
BBA and a pre-qual.
Pre-qual letter, right? And what do we write? Buyer broker agreement. So you all are all doing it correctly. Here's the thing, she did get a pre-qual letter from another company, not some of our trusted, and it was written in October, and it expired in February, okay? It said that she could qualify up to $242 with a sales price up to $250. So now she's got parameters to work within. You know what's already. You know what's. Let's see if they can figure it out. Okay. What's wrong with this picture already?
Well, it's outdated.
Outdated. That's right. What else?
She's got to get.
Interest
I mean,
rates are high.
the interest rates are a lot higher now.
It doesn't have anything to do with that.
Not enough down.
It's okay. Let's follow up.
How many mortgages does she already have?
We don't know that because we didn't ask that question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down payment went up.
All right. Read that. What?
The down payment went up for investment properties.
Okay, you're on the right track. That
And the
was,
rates went up for investment purposes.
she's already said Airbnb, and she's in what she's doing. So
She's not putting it up.
it's a 97% loan to value. Is that something wrong here?
Gotta be
Yes.
Okay, so again, you got to know, I don't even know if Homeward does investment properties or anybody does investment properties. Okay, so here's what happens. She's connected with Homeward. They pre-qualify her. She provides information to them. She moves in, it's bought and she moves in the house. 2 months later, she's having to move out of the house. She does not qualify for that. So, she did not qualify for this home. So what could we have done a little bit better by really knowing what's going on?
Get it approved, I'm sorry, go ahead. No, you can. Okay, get it, the underwriter approval first, before you can use those kind of companies that they can rent it out the property first. Second of all, they will get the approval from the companies, Ribbon or Homeward, any of this, and then let's look at properties.
Right.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there something missing? Did she come with Ribbon or did we refer, I mean, with
We
Homeward?
referred her to
We
Homeward.
referred Homeward.
Right, she
Oh.
did not come with Homeward. It was because she was losing, that price point is so typically cash offers, so we didn't do that. But here's what's fast forward. Clearly, the approval letter indicated this wasn't necessarily an investment property. What she told us, and it is recorded, wasn't really matching what was happening. So, unfortunately, the agent just assumed what she was given was correct, and that was what she was told. Now, she's had to move out, and she's coming back to us wanting us to pay for her loss of $10,000 on this money, because she says that she was a first-time home buyer, and she was a victim of us. Well, I know.
Was this before, was this before Homeward required people to go through their underwriting?
I do
Who
not.
made her move out?
No, they have a process where even if you wanna use your own lender, you have to go through their own underwriting.
Correct. I presume they went through the underwriting. Unfortunately, there's a little bit more to it than we.
Sure.
It wasn't quite, nothing was quite as it was told.
Got it.
So, going back to this, and you're welcome to ask if I wasn't clear, but the moral of the story is ask more questions. Ask questions afterwards. This agent never knew she moved in, thought it was still an Airbnb, and then found out. So we failed to follow up. Wasn't our fault on that, but we could have followed up, and I think we could have possibly made a little bit difference in what is going on.
Because she's clearly not a first-time home buyer.
She's not a first-time.
Not a first-time.
Well, but she says she'd never had a mortgage, that she inherited these properties. I mean, there's all
I hate
sorts
to
of.
stop it and move on because Patty's very patiently waiting for her to present some Patty. So guys, but again, about this is an issue, we will absolutely talk about this next week and have more time. So Miss Patty, let's give Patty a hand away.
And I've also, I invited Eric Decker because he's very knowledgeable about the market, and I kind of want to make this a little bit like a open forum a little bit too, so that we can all discuss what's going on. Thank you.
We do announcements at the end, Jim?
Pardon me.
More announcements at the end.
Announcements at the end.
Announcements, yeah, exactly right. Thank you, yes.
We're hoping Steve can get on. He had to clear something off his calendar to be able to get on here.
I'm on.
Good morning.
Morning, Ned.
Good morning, Patty.
Oh, yeah, it's good. Hey, Steve. Have your audio.
I'm here.
Get your audio.
Cameras this way.
No, camera. Audio.
I'm not muted. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Right here, Patty. Cameras right here.
Okay, so anyway, what
whether, whatever your opinion is from what you've heard out there, and like Reed says, be careful about what you take in through your eyes and your ears right now, because there's a lot of crazy, videos out there and talk about the market's gonna crash and this and that, and we all know it doesn't look like the market is going to crash because we are very educated in this office and up on everything. But that being said, we do feel like there is sort of a shifting feeling going on. And I know I have a listing right now that we've been on for over a couple of weeks now, and it fell through, and people have liked it, but it's struggling to get back under contract, even though a lot of people have showed interest. So that feels so different than it did 3 months ago, when you knew it's like, you need to leave town, you go out of town and your house will be under contract by Monday. So this discussion is about, I thought it was a really good idea to kind of go back and read the pricing chapter in the Shift book. And some of it's more some of it is more based, or most of it is kind of based on the market that we had in 2007 or 8 through 13. But there's a lot of great information in there that will help us even in this type of a shift. So it's a little bit different. Every shift is a little bit different. And so I was kind of curious to find out, what everybody is seeing right now in your own personal businesses. And, so I wanted to kind of just pose some questions. And so who's seeing more price reductions in the market that you're looking at? Yeah. And so, the media experts and the, whoever, or, like I said, saying all different kinds of things about the shift or whatever, but if prices are being reduced and homes are on the market longer, is that not a shift? It's a shift from what it was 2 or 3 months ago. So we need to start working on the conversations, the dialogues and scripts that we need to have with our sellers now, and also with our buyers. We're going to touch on that a little bit, which Reed already did kind of touch on that with your buyers, but it's important on both sides. I'm hearing buyers now saying, I've noticed the price is reducing, and maybe I should wait a little bit. So how do we need to know how to address that and what to say to them to say, I understand. So, if you wait a little bit, the interest rates might go up, the prices might not go down enough to make up the difference, and you might end up with a higher payment, quite honestly. Or
Patty, before you go any further, let's clarify something here.
Okay.
Price reductions on listings is not necessarily the same thing as prices going down. And that is a critical element of this conversation this morning.
Okay. So in the downturn, prices were going down, and you were chasing the market. If you priced at what was just sold that day or what was active, then the prices are going down. So I do think the new prices coming up are going to be based on the price. Let's say a house is at 800,000 and they reduce to 800,000. They reduce to 750. The next person that comes on the market, are they going to price at 800? Or are they going to say, wow, if we go to 800, then my house might not sell as well. So maybe I need to go, or the agent's going to say, maybe you need to price at 750 to start with. So it is kind of working in towards reducing the prices, correct?
Well, so what it really means is the prices should start on the low side. There's a difference between market value and selling price. And one of the many valuable nuggets in this tactic of shift is that there is a difference between the selling price and the asking price, the market value. So if you really pay attention to the numbers, and I can walk everybody through them some this morning, pricing it right the first time is absolutely the right strategy. And your starting price, your asking price, is a strategy conversation. The market determines the selling price.
And as we've heard Jim referenced from, other professionals like Barbara Corcoran, you cannot underprice a listing, and you could definitely overprice, right? So.
And that's where you need the scripts to explain that to your seller, because quite honestly, if you just say that, they're gonna say, well, but if I go at, 500 instead of 550, won't that just make people, like, even if they offered a little more, wouldn't it make them maybe only offer 530? Would I get up to that 550? So, you have to be able to explain how the auction effect works, and
That's the key right there. Whoever just spoke up nailed it on the head. You cannot underprice a house. It will get bid up. And what we've seen throughout the pandemic, and especially over the last 12 to 15 months, is the auction effect. Now, interestingly enough, we saw this back in the shift in 2007, 8, 9, 10, where houses that price themselves properly to begin with, even in those severe buyer market conditions, were selling over asking price. Matter of fact, everybody who studied the Chartmaster charts back then, we could see continuously that upwards of 20 to 22% of houses, even back then, were selling for over asking price because people created a seller's market around their property by pricing it right the first time. The mistake sellers are making now is what we have to be very careful about. They hear about things getting bid up, and so they try to guess how much their house might get bid up, and that's where they start the asking price, which is a terrible strategic mistake, because if you started that price, you do not get the auction effect. The only reason all the other houses got bid up is because there was an auction effect. You have to start low enough. You have to start at a worry price, where buyers are worried that if they don't come in really strong, they're not going to get the house. If you don't do that, you are not going to take advantage of this market.
And in the last couple of months, there was some homes that did really get bid up way over what they should have. And, with the auction effect, and then the next one would come on the market higher. I mean, I have clients right now looking up to, they were looking up to 900, now they're looking up to $1 million in the Milton Crabapple area. And that area has been just crazy. Homes coming on at 800 and going for, almost $1 million. And so, they just could not ever seem to bid up enough to win the house, even if we went 100,000 over, or someone else went 150,000 over. So, but I don't, we don't see that continuing. I mean, it's not sustainable. I mean, think about it. You get to a point where no one's going to pay, the next price up for that home.
And that's exactly why sellers cannot make the mistake of being overly optimistic. Sellers are always behind the market. Buyers set the market. Sellers only know what they hear in the news, which at very best case scenario is 3 months old.
Well, the other thing, just to comment on that, because I just had this happen on a listing appointment, and thankfully, because of script and role play, I was able to overcome. But they went right for the Zillow or the Reddit, and this is what we should start at. And I had explained exactly what we were just talking about the buyers set the selling price, and that we have to, you're never going to underprice the home. And when you look at the comps, blah 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 blah, and we're still not 100% there. We're getting there. We're like at 95%, and he's got a lot of work to do to get the listing ready. But my point is, the whole Zillow thing is another combat out there that is, I can't tell you how many times.
That's easy to handle that objection though, because what I always tell them is they have never been inside your home.
Yeah.
They've never been inside your home. I mean, they make all these estimates out there when they've never been inside these homes.
All you have to do is point to the spectacular success, he said sarcastically, of Zillow's iBuyer program, which they have now completely shut down, and that whole division has gone out of business.
Right.
Yeah, they're really good at pricing properties, y'all.
Yeah. Good point.
When you mentioned the suburbs, Milton Crabapple, I feel that might be more of I'll call it a COVID effect, because a lot of people were rethinking.
Wanted the bigger lots.
Yes, they needed more elbow room, they needed more square, they were homeschooling, they were doing the gym in the home, and they needed that space. And I think they felt like they could get it in the suburbs. So that might be a slightly different market, which is why we have to hone in on what is the market in that particular area and why might it be
I mean,
doing better?
we have felt it around here as well. I mean, there's been, I remember hearing about a Dunwoody home that went 300,000 over list. It's like, that's crazy, but I do agree that there is this COVID effect and people wanting the more space, they want more separate rooms, still maybe an open floor plan, but then extra separate rooms, they want room for a pool. Pools are, hot. And, so, and it would be good to have one this week, wouldn't it?
I've got
96
one
degrees. Do you?
Listing Thursday with a pool, so I guess timing is
yeah.
close. And they're relocating, so when we get back to the conversation about motivation.
There you go.
You guys see, that's, we always have to go back to the motivation conversation, right?
Give us
You gotta keep digging in. Well, for example, I mean, I'm lucky right now, say I have 2 sellers right now that they're both relocating, so they have to move. They have jobs in other states. And so now pricing, so I was just thinking as we're talking through all this, I mean, pricing is still a huge conversation being had right now with both. Because I was super confident, like we all were, just a month ago or 6 weeks ago about, hey, my last 3 listings, we listed Thursday, we're under contract Monday, we had 10 offers, we went over price. I mean, that was the automatic. You lean forward with confidence, you say, I'm gonna do that for you again, or for you now. That conversation's not happening now.
No, it's a different one. No, it's not.
It is, oh, by the way, and Patty pulled some great stats, I know she's gonna share, digging into the MMO reports, our monthly reports.
We're seeing some red on there now, which we haven't.
Yeah, I mean, you guys started throwing caravans out of this last week. I'm like, that's a shift.
Yeah.
Right? The price reduction. So it is being the consultative analyst, partner with your client, and it's being confident. If you know your data, you know your stats, you can guide your seller the way they need to be. Yeah, and it is like Steve and we referenced earlier, we don't decide the final price. We help them with the list price. The market decides.
We help them with the positioning.
Correct.
You need to be positioned correctly.
And that's why you should always refer to these as strategic pricing conversations.
Right. We give them the data, they can make the ultimate decision, might not be the one that should be made, and that's a decision the listing agents have to decide is, do you even want to take that listing if they're not being reasonable with what you're saying? Because a stale listing, there's different reasons to take a listing, right? It's your next door neighbor, your neighborhood, you get marketing from it. However, if that listing doesn't sell because it's overpriced, guess who looks bad? So
You've got all the data you need in the Chartmaster stats. If y'all are actually paying attention to what's being provided to you by the Market Center every month, you've got everything you need. And there are only a few things you need to pull out and show up with to have at the ready for these conversations. But we've got a chart in the most recent MMO that shows that in every single price range, there's between 38 and 81.6% of the listings are selling for over asking price. Okay, if you go back to the last quarterly charts, there's it's the 9th slide in the first quarter stats, and this just shows something that we've seen now for 15 plus years through the Chartmaster stats. You sell for over asking price in the first week. By the 3rd week, you are stale, and your chances of selling and how much you sell for drop rapidly. Trying it at a price and then doing a price reduction is a disaster financially for the seller. It will completely destroy their goal of netting the most at the closing table. You must price it right the first time, and we can show that empirically if you guys will just show up with what's already being provided to you.
I pulled Cobb County active listings and the number of price reductions, and the average between all of them is like 28%. One thing that kind of surprised me is that the lower price points I pulled from 2 to infinity, from 2 to 400 actually had in the 30 to 35% price reductions, which I thought was interesting because the The 700 to, 7 million, I think was like the highest listing, 7 million something. There was only 25%, which, like in the last downturn, it was the other way around. The high price points were the ones that were, not selling, staying on the market forever, and so anyway, I thought that was interesting. But
Penny, do you feel like that upper price range is still a buyer's market?
I don't know about a buyer's market. I think that they have a lot of days on market for a lot of them. So I think they're just not, I think they're being stubborn about reducing their price. Now, I will say a lot of those are also new construction, so that's kind of a whole different animal.
Yeah.
They put their price out there before they're even built.
Right,
And so, and the price they're gonna close at could be completely different depending on what the buyer picks. So, that does kind of misconstrue the numbers on that, but I still was surprised though. But there is over 1 million right now. There's 100 active listings in Cobb County, and of course, the majority of them are going to be kind of focused around this area. Maybe, a lot of it's going to be around here. And then from 700 to 1 million, there's 145 active in Cobb County. So that's, so there's homes out there. It's just, I'm starting to see that to me, I'm noticing one thing that's very similar to that market. I will tell you, there was a ton of inventory in the last downturn, tons and tons of inventory, but there wasn't any good. That was the thing. And when there was a good house that came up, you would have buyers lined up out the door trying to bid on that house, and there was multiple offers. And so right now we don't have very much inventory, but what's even harder is that I think the reason why we're not seeing as many multiple offers right now as we were a few months ago is because the inventory that is out there, as limited as it is, it's also limited and good. I think that we have a lot of homes that are just not updated, or, just overpriced, not updated. And, that makes it even harder, that makes it, because now buyers are going, wait a second, you want me to pay that for that?
Right, exactly.
I'll jump in. So if you think too, the market, or there's always a lag, right? So homes that are not as updated, think about it. Sellers didn't have to make this many updates before. And guess who was sort of telling them that? Like, meaning you could get top price, not that they shouldn't update. They're going through a budget dilemma on, okay, what do I update? Well, guess what? There's a lot of homes selling. You don't have to redo your kitchen or your bathrooms, and they were selling premium price. And so now there's that lag effect where, okay, some of these homes that are a little stale, because people decided, in some cases, not.
Yeah.
So, a lot of factors into it.
So, I think that overall, we just all need to get really good with our scripts. We need to get better again with helping people to prepare their homes. Staging. This is how we can shine over other brokerages and other agents out there in the masses, is that we know what we need to do to make a home appealing, and it's pricing and condition. You can't change the location, but you can change the pricing. You can make the price and condition what it needs to be to get top dollar for that area. So,
it's unbelievable too to still see listings from not KW agents that have just horrible photos.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Beautiful house.
yeah.
The photos are right out of their flip phone. It's like
stuff on the kitchen
unbelievable to me
counter.
that that's still happening.
Cloudy.
$1 million house I saw the other day.
Yeah.
And it's just lame photo. Lame photos. So
I-
positioning and marketing.
My, my thought, even through the past 6 months, we didn't change anything as far as the way we did it. We still staged, we still got people prepared. And I heard agents even in this office say, we don't do the staging anymore. You don't need to right now. It's like, but how do you know that that's not going to get them, 50,000 more or 25,000 more, or whatever it is. But, you still want to put your house out there in the best light, no matter what kind of market it is. And
one of the key lessons, Patty, let me jump in there. One of the key lessons from the big shift, from what we learned in 2007 through 2012 in that era, as we pulled out of it, everybody had this aha of all shifts is really saying is go back to the basics. And what Gary Keller would say whenever you heard somebody say that is, whoever gave you permission to get away from the basics in the first place.
Right, yeah.
You do not get away from the basics. You still stage it. You still photograph it properly. You still do the basics. You never stop doing that.
standard, you have to be proud of your standard and the way you do business and not let it flag just because the market has made it easy for you to do that. So, because also those people are the ones, when the market gets tough, they're gonna say, you know, even when it was so easy to sell a home, my agent still did ABC. And they're, as we all know, referrals are super important in our business. I did have a script that's like an oldie but goodie kind of script that I thought I would just read to you real quick, if that's okay. So you're at a listing appointment and you're talking about pricing and you say, and I just threw numbers in there, so don't pay attention to what numbers I put in there. But as I mentioned before, people are being told the market is hot and everything is selling. So this is what you say in the seller's market. As a professional, I watch the market daily. Today, there were 15 homes on the market. Last week, 3 homes sold. That means that 12 didn't sell and are still on the market. Are you aware that currently 15 houses are for sale and 12 are selling per month? And so what we need to do today is agree on a price, one that makes certain that your house is positioned to sell in the desired time frame, so we can get you to Tampa Bay, whatever, by August 30th, rather than being in the unsold category. And if we price it right, then we can have multiple offers. If we overprice it, well, it sits on the market. And as they would say in bold, month after week after week after week. So you understand that in today's market, we're entering a competition, right? So you're still entering a competition in any market. It is still a competition.
If you want to send that.
Yeah. This is, I think it's probably, it might be part of the bold.
It's the bold listing presentation.
Oh, okay.
I just had it in my thing, so. So tactic 7 is the pricing category. Does everybody have the shift book?
Good question.
Do we have them on? Do we have them
Yes, we do.
We sell them downstairs, yeah.
So, this is also a really good book to share, especially right now, with your co-op agents. If you have someone that you work with that's great and you think, you know what, they'd be awesome, they'd be a great fit in our office or in a Keller Williams office, bring them this book. And if there's some conversation you had with them during the time you were under contract with them, that maybe one of their concerns or something about their business, find something about that in this book, and even, put a little tag in there or something and just say, we were talking about this and I just wanted to share this book.
And can I make a plug on this book? If you're not on the pivot shift call every single morning, you need to be. Magda, Susan, Yvette, myself, Brenda, Marjorie. If you need to know what to say, just jump, and you're on, Grace, just jump on that call.
That's the,
That's the mastermind call. We go through this book every morning.
So it's actually call, not on Facebook.
It is
on
both.
Facebook.
It's both. Okay. It's a Zoom call and he's live on Facebook at 8 o'clock every morning for 20 minutes.
So where do you get the Zoom link?
Where you go to the Facebook, what's the Facebook group?
www.pivotshiftcall.com. That is the Zoom link. And there's a Facebook page that you can join that page and go watch all of those calls from 2 years.
They're all recorded.
They're all recorded.
PivotShiftCall.com.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Or go to Pivot Shift Ahead on Facebook.
On Facebook.
And then anybody that's ever had a chart or a file, they upload it. It's got the most information in one spot that I know of.
Yes.
So it's still a daily live call?
Yes. Absolutely.
At what time?
We start at 7:30, we act like a family on Zoom, and then at 8 o'clock, it goes live in the Facebook page. And the amount of information you will get on that page is just, it blows our minds every morning.
Right, it's 8 o'clock to 8:20.
Because of the quality of professionals that are on that call.
Hey guys, I wanted to let everybody know too that James Shaw, who runs that group, he's doing a shift workshop at KW Perimeter on June 23rd. It's from 9 to 4. It's like $25.
Thank you, Amanda.
Good to know.
That's good. So anyway, some of the things that, when you read this chapter, one of the paragraphs that kind of stood out to me is research supports the fact that sellers and buyers are typically out of sync with the realities of the market. In a seller's market, sellers tend to dwell in the future and buyers in the past. Sellers want to push prices up and buyers want to hold the line. In a buyer's market, buyers want to place themselves in the future and sellers want to dwell on the past. And boy, I tell you, I remember that so well in the last market with, and it was shifting so quickly that it was just a really tough conversation. But I totally remember my buyers that when I was working with at the time that would say, yeah, but you know what, if I wait just another couple of months, the prices might go down a little bit more. And Gary Keller had this one really good little thing that he would do. I don't know if any of you remember this, but he would say, well, you know what, how do you know when it's going to hit bottom? And so how do you know when it's going to hit bottom? So do me a favor, tell me when it's going to hit bottom. And he would start going like this with his finger and then and try to get them to, so they would always miss it because he would be like,
Right.
It's like, you don't know how to hit, you can't hit it right on the nose, it's impossible to know because we don't have crystal balls, so.
Well, that's that 3-month lag that I referred to earlier. Sellers only know what's 3 months ago, whereas buyers are the here and now. Now, one thing to remember, this shift, I'm not even sure shift is really the right word, only because we associate shift so much with what happened in 2007 for 4 or 5 years there. We're not in a position right now of actually seeing prices go down. What we're talking about here today is the listing pricing strategy, but that doesn't mean that sales prices are necessarily going to be going down. We still have an imbalance of more buyers than sellers. We still have millions of people out there who want to own a home and housing isn't available. We're a good 5 million housing units short across the country. And at the rate we're building more homes right now, we're actually falling further behind. Okay. What we need to understand, what we need to help sellers understand is, well, we literally had 1.5% appreciation a month there for a while. Now we're probably going to see appreciation of about 1% a quarter. Okay, the rate of appreciation is going to slow down dramatically, but it will likely still be there. The good news for sellers, and this is the way to position it to them, is look, the number they want to start it up here, and we know that if they started here, they actually have a better chance of getting here. But this number that we're suggesting, a year ago, that would have been a fantasy number for the seller. The good news is they've now waited all the way through the massive run-up, and they're getting full benefit of the run-up. Now the run-up is going to be more of a step up. It's going to be 1% a quarter, 4% a year, the historical long-term appreciation, not 15 to 18% a year. That is not bad news. They got the full benefit of the run-up. The people that sold a year ago and 2 years ago didn't. That's how to position it to them. And it's also very important on the buyer side for buyers to understand that don't expect prices to be going down. What created these market conditions are so dramatically different than what created the shift back then that comparing the two is nonsensical. They really are not comparable scenarios at all. Oh, and by the way, rates now in the 6s for 30-year loans. I remember earlier on in my career, Jim, you're older like me, you remember this too. I remember when buyers were ecstatic when rates went under 7%. Okay, these rates are not bad at all. They are still advantageous. They're just different than they were. It's a perspective issue, but if you really look at the overall, buyers who buy now, especially if they're going to have a long-term holding period, and the typical length of home ownership now is 10 years. Anytime you're going to hold a property for 10 years or longer, it's always a good time to buy. Buyers who are waiting on the sideline are only going to see rates go up a little bit more, and prices are not going to come down to compensate.
What are your thoughts about ARM rates, considering the rates are going to go up now? Some people are getting ARM rates. Do you think that a 7-year ARM is wise?
Well, I mean, the lenders can speak to that, but like I think came up earlier, is that there's not as much of a difference. I mean, it used to be back in the day, there was like a huge difference. When you did an ARM, like we did an ARM on our first house in Georgia, and then we sold the house within a couple of years. So we got the benefit of that ARM without it going as high as it could have gone, because it could only go up 2% a year, I think is what it was. And so, but again, then if you stay in the house for 10 years, then you could end up, with a higher interest rate than maybe if you had just gone with a conventional, if there's not that big of a difference between the two now, I think, I don't know. So what do you guys?
If you're betting on rates to come back down, then just refinance when they come back down.
That's what he said this morning. Yeah,
Reed said.
that's exactly what he said.
So does that mean you recommend doing an ARM or you do not?
Well, it depends. Frankly, my perspective, depends on the day, and it depends on the person. If they're gonna be gone in 7 years, 7-year ARM is pretty good. If they're gonna be earning more money in 7 years, we used to do, and they're coming back, 2-1 buybacks, right? And they get them into a home with with a lower payment, and it gets them, they're gonna be making more money down the road, so they can afford a higher payment. It's not a bad way to go. It's just in the right situation. For somebody that's less financially astute and just needs security, what have you, maybe it's not the right.
Or they want the home that will fit them like size-wise or whatever, without having to move in 2 or 3 years. They're like, okay, if I can get this house and have my payment here, knowing that my income's going to go up and I can stay in that house.
That's the right answer though there, because it is always situation specific. There is no one size fits all answer. You have to tailor it to the individual client's needs and scenario, always.
That's the beauty of our great partners. We get those buyers into them right away to go over their options and their programs that best fit.
I mean, we need to consult and understand their circumstances and then say, this is a great conversation to have with your lender, because they can help you figure out what is the best fit for you and the one that you're most comfortable with. So
I think two things that are different too, very different than back in the day, is some of the ARM products that you guys hear about that kind of raise your antenna, those don't exist anymore. 327 ARMs and 228 ARMs, those don't exist.
Option ARMs
don't exist. Interest only ARMs are very, very scarce to find those. And the other thing too is, part of the problem back in the day was that loan officer compensation was based on the rate that they charged to the clients. Now, Jeff and I, we've talked about this. We didn't do this, but if you guys ever watched the movie The Big Short, I mean, that was exactly the whole process. I could charge you a higher interest rate and make double the compensation. And if you had no moral compunction against doing that, people did it all day long. There were people that would go into churches, and I've got a friend that said that he looked at a loan application that a guy that was marketing to his church, a big church, turning hundreds of loans, and he looked and he said, this guy's got a 740 credit score, why are you putting him in a subprime ARM? And the guy said, and I'll refi him before it adjusts. I mean, that's totally unscrupulous. So some of the changes that happened through Dodd-Frank and stuff like that were good.
Well, that's why, as Eric said so well, getting with one of our trusted lenders that's a bad deal for you. That's a bad deal for you. We don't want you to do that one as opposed to someone so.
Does anyone have any questions, or does anyone have any comments about, is the inflation going up? Has that affected your client's decision on buying or not buying, or buying a lesser expensive home, or?
Where we are.
If you would list a house today, would you price it based on the latest sales or based on how much latest sales were listed for?
Well, and that's what we've been seeing, is that, like I was talking about the Milton area, it's like, one house would go on at 700 several months ago, and then it sold for 800, and then the next house went on for 800, and that sold for 900. I mean, it was just like on and on and on. I was like, how sustainable is this? It's got to stop eventually. And that's what was happening. When I list a home, I look at both when I have that conversation with my clients, I have the conversation about what homes have listed for, what they're selling for, but there's a lot of factors, you know, even two houses in the same neighborhood, you know, their house could be inferior to the other house size-wise or upgrades or, you know, so I think that, you know, if a house is truly closed a month ago or closed 2 weeks ago and closed at, you know, say 100,000 more than what it was listed for, you know, you might find, you know, a price kind of in that category if they are really truly apples to apples. But I don't know, but I'm also telling people that, you know, I'm telling sellers now that, you know, we're seeing price reductions and, you know, are you willing to take a chance on being stale bread after 2 weeks? Are you willing to possibly make less than you could have if you had just priced competitively to start with?
Lily, very few agents understand. I looked at one a few months ago, that's a very successful agent, and I looked and I said, you cannot underprice a house. She said, who told you that? And I went, well, Gary Keller and Barbara Corcoran, well, they're wrong. And I went, really?
That's why.
Really? So I think it is listing specific and what's going on. Would you all generally say that well-priced, particularly redone listings are still flying off the market?
Yes.
Well-priced,
Yes.
redone. Now, if you get okay priced on one that needs a total redo, is that a little more challenging right now?
Sure.
Is that too general?
Depends on how redone. I mean, seriously, there's so many degrees of that, you know, if it looks like a 40-year-old home looks like a brand new home, then yes, it could still get the multiple offers and everything.
Gary Keller said, if you think you know when the market's going to adjust, call him, he wants to hear it.
Yeah. Tell him. Yeah.
Exactly, because he does not know how to know. Yes, ma'am.
The other thing that I found out that I know that I do well with it as well is that it's listed for one price, sell it for a different price, but appraised for a different price.
Correct.
So what I am talking about, my conversation with my seller is, what is the difference between the three? What is the prices that we should check it out and according with the condition of the property and yours? So let's find out the correct market or listing price.
And buyers are starting to not give up things like appraisal contingencies and, you know, like they were a few months ago. I mean, you know, or due diligence. I mean, you know, that insanity I feel like has calmed a little bit.
Which is a good thing.
It is a good thing. That was just too
That's
crazy.
exactly what I was gonna say, is what she said, that last condo that I sold in Alpharetta, listed for the price that the neighborhood sort of, you know,
Wasn't.
starts at,
Yeah.
yes. And ultimately sold at 50,000 over. However, the lender from the buyer that I'd never heard of or used before, which was a little scary, accidentally sent me the appraisal. I'm the listing agent.
Oh.
And so I know it didn't appraise, but because we had the gap in there, it did. So that's a great point to bring to your seller is, we list at one price, and yes, you see these sales at this price, but what did it really appraise for? And I happen to know that.
Yeah, and I call, I mean, I don't know about you guys, when I do my homework, I call agents for the comps I'm using, and I ask them, were the closing costs for any repairs, did the house appraise, you know, did they have to negotiate that? I mean, I do a lot of homework before I present these homes to them, because you need to know what actually happened. You don't know what happened by looking it up MLS.
Well, you do that initially when you're working with the buyer and you call the agents on the sold houses and find out how they were successful in getting that particular house. And you know, did they pay closing costs? Were there repairs? You know, did the seller have, you know, help with repairs? Did it appraise?
Yeah.
And those are
Did
all
they have to
great.
bring money to the closing?
That's right.
Well, any other questions? We are out of time. Any other questions? So this is exceptional. Let's give them a hand, guys.
Thank you, Steve, if he's still there.
Thank you, Steve. Bye, guys. We have some announcements.
Mark your calendars now for July 23rd. We're gonna do trivia night at Patty Jackson's house again.
Yay! Her backyard is fabulous. So y'all
I do recommend y'all bring one of those Target has them. They have little fans that hang around your neck. Oh my God, we went to the Braves game on Sunday. It was a lifesaver.
Yeah. So you get to bring a friend. We don't get to bring a whole team, but bring a friend, and we'll have that'll be out in
Oh, we
July.
are
And
doing
then-
that, okay.
Yeah, and then school supply drive, we're gonna do that again this year, so while you're out already thinking about your kids going back to school, now they've been out of school for a couple weeks, pick up some extra pencils, pens, crowns, and we'll kick that off right after 4th of July.
Thank you. All right. Anything else we did not talk about, Kimberly?
Go see Mary Ann.
Yeah, Michelle, I'm sorry to cut you short, but we're running behind. Thank you.